Now, Darren J. Pryor is no stranger to global solidarity, having contributed very many great interviews and pieces over the years. And lately, he's been concentrating on, amongst other things, animal welfare, and his articles are published in the Northside People. And you can see the articles there almost every other week, and especially this week. So Darren is going to explain to us about how he got involved, mainly in animal welfare issues.
Only in the last year, actually. Like, I've always loved animals, and since I was a kid, we had a couple of cats and a few dogs in the house. But like 20 years ago, I got my journalism degree, and I've been involved in community radio for over 10, well, no, well over 10 years, and I cover a lot of different areas, particularly kind of social justice areas. So it's only actually in the last year. I'm working on your program, Global Solidarity, 10 years this year,
Wow.
and it's only actually in the last year that I started covering animal welfare really seriously, because I think we're at a kind of crux in the situation now. There's such big things happening. I'm thinking particularly about dog theft and puppy farms and animal rescues and crisis. They're overflowing. They can't cope with how many dogs and cats they have to rehome. So yeah, and there's calls for, like, serious calls for there to be a national animal welfare authority or some organisation that's something called something like that. So yeah, we're at a kind of crux, I think. So, and I've been aware of this for the last year, over a year. So yeah, it's only since last year I started covering the area.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised to hear that there isn't an authority for animal welfare. I mean, we do have the greyhound board, and I don't know what the equivalent is for the horses. Well, that's not probably the same thing. The welfare. I mean, okay, we have a big industry here with the greyhounds and with the horse racing industry, and we also had an equine centre. I don't know whether it's still going or not in Ballyfermot. They had stables, and it was a great way for kids to get involved with animals and understand them and how to treat them. So that's a positive. Whether or not you agree with the fact that there is a greyhound industry, a lot of animal welfare people are not happy about that, but it's there anyway, and it's a big industry,
Yeah.
and it employs a lot of people as well as the bloodstock industry. So it's a big tradition in
Yeah,
Ireland.
I'm not really. It's only actually since I started covering animal welfare issues last year that I really learned, and I'm in my early 40s. It's only since last year that I actually learned that greyhound racing and horse racing, they're actually kind of dangerous for the point of view from the horses and the dogs, because like a not insignificant number of dogs and horses literally get killed. Well, not get killed, but they like break their leg or whatever racing every year. And when it comes to horses, like if a horse's leg is broken, it can't run again. So then you have the connected issue, which RT Primetime covered a couple of times ago. Horses getting sold to China, or dogs and horses getting sold for their dog meat, because it's like, I'm not saying it happens all the time in these cases, but it does happen. It has happened where the dogs and the horses aren't able to run anymore, and some owners of these animals see don't some of them don't care about the animals, and they just want to make money. And when the horse or dog is not available to run, they just sell the dog or the horse off for meat in China or different other countries. Yeah, so I don't see myself as being an animal welfare rights activist. I see myself as being a journalist with an interest in all different types of social justice issues. And so I haven't actually attended any of the demos about horse racing or greyhound racing. I know there's ones on, I think, nearly every week, I think, for greyhound racing in Shelbourne Park. But yeah, I'm very sceptical on the two industries as regards, because I literally only learned last year that not an insignificant number of dogs and horses literally die because of the races. So I think that's a tragedy, you know.
Yes, yeah. And it brings us to the question of the, as you mentioned before, the puppy farms. I don't know, they're probably all legal and probably, maybe, although I very much doubt it, they're properly run. But we do hear some horror stories of animal puppy farms. And the question is, like coming up to Christmas, it has to be repeated every year, as if the message never seems to get across. Don't buy from puppy farms. There are animal rescue places where you can get your dog or whatever animal you want. So
yeah, like that comes back to I've interviewed John McCallaghan from Dog Advocacy Ireland several times over the last year or two, and he's always saying I think the biggest issue he's concerned about as regards dog welfare is puppy farms, and like he repeats this, and I think he repeated it in my article, The Northside People East this week. There was a demo last week, but he was saying we need an animal welfare authority. Like I think he could be right in that most of these puppy farms are legal in the sense they have licenses, but there's no kind of oversight or kind of a lot of the time the puppy farms aren't getting inspected or whatever, you know. So God knows what's going on inside them. And so as John was saying from Dog Advocacy Ireland, we really need an animal welfare authority to do this, to oversee these, and there should be strict regulations. I think, like whatever about having small puppy farms and you have a handful of dogs and you're breeding a specific breed and you're doing everything legal. Like this whole thing about kind of having puppy factories, which they are in effect having like dozens of dogs or over 100 dogs, up to 100 dogs, like it's not healthy for a female dog to get pregnant like every year. It's extremely unhealthy. And they have often health problems, and the puppies have often health problems. So. And as you know yourself, like the animal welfare rescues are in crisis, particularly since COVID, I think, because a lot of people, more people than usual, bought dogs during COVID because they were in the house so much and they wanted company. They didn't want to be kind of, the families were spending so much time together. They wanted to kind of have more enjoyment in the house. So more people than usual got dogs. And then, of course, when the COVID restrictions ended, a lot of these people thought weren't able to look after dogs, so they dropped the dogs off in dog pounds or animal rescues, whatever they call them. So like the animal rescues are overflowing with dogs. So like if anyone's thinking of getting a dog, think about it seriously, do research about it, and get one from like Dogs Trust or one of the other animal rescues, because they have great dogs and they need to be rehomed, you know.
Yeah, well, a friend of mine in London, she has always had the full set of Cavalier King Charles, and she often has gotten calls from Battersea's Park to say we have one here, and she's often travelled up and down the country to get dogs, and she looks after them so well in a very, very, very large garden, and she's never ever considered buying one from a dealer, if you like, because there's so many dogs that need rescuing and need to be looked after. You say Dogs Trust. Is that a Dublin-based charity?
Well, the Dogs Trust is UK. It's UK owned, but they have their national centre in Finglas in Dublin for Ireland. Dogs Trust Ireland. I think it covers the island of Ireland, not just the Republic. And they have a big rehoming centre. I actually visited it several years ago, and I interviewed a lady from there. So I have been there for Near FM, but I never got a dog there. I don't personally have a dog at the moment because, the main reason is I don't drive a car, so it's kind of, very inconvenient if I had a dog to look after. If I had to go to the vet or whatever, I wouldn't be able to drive to the vet because I don't drive. But my parents, when I lived with my parents, we had 3 dogs over the space of 30 years, and none of them, we didn't buy any of them. The first one was actually Mel. He was a stray. We got him when he was only a puppy, about a year old. When we got him, we had him for about 15 years, and then he died. That was a good few years ago. And then we got a dog from a rescue. He was middle-aged. We only lived a couple of years. I forget what happened to him, but it was some kind of health problem. He died middle-aged. We only had him for a couple of years. Then we had Patch, and he died a year or two ago. We got him in another animal rescue, and he was middle-aged as well, but we had him for several years. So, I kind of wonder about people who buy dogs from buy dogs online. Like, fair enough, if you're looking for a specific breed, and the breed is only bred by certain licensed dog controllers, whatever the word is. Like, I kind of understand getting the dog in that from one of them in that sense, but as regards getting average dogs like Jack Russells, and 2 of our dogs were Jack Russells, get buying them online, just go to Dogs Trust. Dogs Trust is the biggest, I think, organisation for dogs in Ireland, but there are a lot of other smaller organisations as well around the country, you know. So it's worth looking into, you know.
Yeah, I know that RSPCA is over in Rathfarnham, and I know that in Kildare you have the My Lovely Horse Rescue Centre as well, and they rescue not just horses but other people. They've often been on Grafton Street shaking the buckets. It must cost a lot to keep a place like that running. But you also mentioned there about dog theft, and I think that's a fair big problem here in the country. I wonder why people, well, it's obviously for a monetary gain that they'd steal pets, but it's a horrible thing to literally tear somebody's family apart and a much loved pet. I mean, people grieve when they die, but to have them stolen like that, is the problem as big as it was, as we were led to believe?
Yeah, I think I believe it's only really grown since COVID. In 2020, there was a huge increase in the number of dogs getting stolen, and it's been the same since for the last 4 years. It's really disgraceful. Like, this is one of the main reasons why I kind of started covering animal welfare issues last year. Because of this issue, I was reading so much about it on social media. There's a social media group. There's a group, Lisa O'Connor, who you know from the program, Global Solidarity. But she has a group called Missing Stolen Animals Ireland, and I mentioned her. She's quoted in my article in Northside People this week. But her group, one of the things they do is post up and to share Facebook posts from around Ireland about dogs getting stolen, and I think nearly every day there's a dog getting stolen, from what I can see. My parents have a house, a holiday house in County Roscommon, and our neighbour there a year or so ago, his daughter, her dog got stolen, and like, her dog was a big, I think it was a Durox dog. He wasn't. I didn't see him much because he lived in a different house. But anyway, the dog was actually blind. It was 100% blind, and he was like 6 or 7 years old, and he was stolen. Like, unbelievable, and it was heartbreaking for them. And it's heartbreaking for anyone to have your dog stolen. Like, it's disgraceful. So it's great that the UK now, it's only happened the last month or so. In England and Northern Ireland, they have a Pet Theft Act. So if you're caught, it covers dogs and cats at the moment. So if you're caught in England or Northern Ireland stealing a dog or a cat, you can get a big fine. But the bigger thing is 5 years in prison. So I think that will or is become a big deterrent in England and Northern Ireland. So that's another thing. A animal welfare activists are calling for it to be the same kind of legislation in the Republic of Ireland, you know. Because I think it would make a difference if we had that legislation and it was implemented. So that comes back again for the need to be some kind of an animal welfare authority, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So to summarize, if you want to help any of these animal charities, you can Google them. You have Dogs Trust, the RSPCA, and My Lovely Horse, amongst others. It's a great cause, and
yeah, I think they're called. I think it's the DSPCA and the ISPCA. The DSPCA is for Dublin. The ISPCA is outside Dublin, the national organisation, you know. And there's also a group in the Connemara Gaeltacht in Galway, Modra. And I think they're the biggest dog rehoming centre in Connacht, I think.
Right.
But they kind of focus on Galway, but I think they cover other areas. And I think that they are the biggest in Connacht, and they're pretty big as well, you know.
Right. Yeah, well, that's food for thought, and I, for one, am going to look up some of these shelters and make the donation. I've donated to Dogs Trust just a small amounts, and they're not the type of charity like some charities you donate, and you get phone calls, unwarranted, unsolicited phone calls. Never got that from Dogs Trust. So I'm going to look into that now that it's uppermost in my mind. So, Darren, thanks very much for all the work you do for animals. They are sentient beings, and they may not be treated as such in countries far away from here where they're treated badly. But we know we're a bit more civilized here, and I hope we can improve things generally and be aware that animals have feelings. So, Darren, thanks very much for talking to us today.
Hey, thanks, Tony.
And thanks for all the great interviews you've done for Global Solidarity over the years. I didn't realise it was 10 years.
That's cool. Yeah. Thanks, Tony.
Okay, then. Thanks, William.
Bye.
And that's Darren J prior there.